Why do some books become bestsellers while others collect dust in bookstores, or worse, never even get printed? Why does one idea go viral, catching fire and momentum, spreading like wildfire, while others barely leave a spark? To understand this phenomenon, we need to explore the concept of the tipping point, that critical juncture where an idea, product, or behavior suddenly ignites and spreads like an uncontrollable blaze. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book, The Tipping Point, How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference, describes this moment as the catalyst that turns a small change into a sweeping trend. The tipping point helps us understand how trends spread, almost like epidemics, contagious, far-reaching, and impactful. A tiny shift can trigger a massive effect. Think of it as a row of dominoes falling, each one toppling the next, or a snowball gathering momentum as it rolls downhill. For example, in the 1990s, cell phones saw gradual improvements. But by 1998, the tipping point was reached, and suddenly everyone had a cell phone. A technology that was once a luxury quickly became an essential part of our everyday lives. But what drives these epidemics? They are shaped by three factors: the people who spread the idea, the infectious nature of the idea itself, and the environment in which it thrives. A change in any of these elements can trigger a tipping point. It's akin to Pareto's principle, where 80% of the work is often done by 20% of the participants. But in the case of epidemics, it's even more extreme. A tiny percentage of people can spark a massive change. Just think of patient zero, the one person who sets the whole thing in motion. Your goal should be to make your message as contagious as possible, so sticky that it lingers in people's minds like a catchy tune you just can't shake, and to give it the right environment to spread in. The three laws of epidemics. 1. The law of the few. Like Paul Revere on his midnight ride, a handful of people can ignite a movement. Word of mouth is powerful, even in our digital age. Think about the last 10 purchases you made. Chances are you checked the reviews first. But not all reviews are created equal. The ones that sway us are those that provide both pros and cons. Similarly, not all people hold the same persuasive power. The 6 degrees of separation theory suggests that we can reach anyone in the world through just 6 connections. However, not all connections are equal in strength. Some individuals are highly connected, acting as bridges to countless others. These are the connectors, those who seem to know everyone. They can open doors to opportunities you never imagined. Then there are the mavens, knowledgeable individuals who love to share what they know. They guide you with their expertise, drawing you in like a magnet with advice that's impossible to resist. 2. The stickiness factor. The information age has created a stickiness problem. With too much information, we forget most of it. Sesame Street overcame the weaknesses of television by making a few critical adjustments to make learning memorable. They succeeded because they could hold the attention of children. It should be easy if you understand that children watch when they understand and look away when they don't. At what point do children get distracted? How long should the sessions be? Experiment and find out what holds children's attention. Sounds easy now? Not exactly, since you will know when the child doesn't understand, but not what they don't understand. So you experiment further and track the children's eyes to figure out what they are looking at. You pay attention to the structure and format of your materials. Similarly, YouTube thumbnails grab your attention. Add too many items to the thumbnail, and the viewer doesn't pay attention to it. Kids think in terms of stories, and that's why Blue's Clues was such a success. They took successful parts of Sesame Street like repetition to teach children. The story makes it appealing, and they use it beautifully by starting out easy with easy clues of the puzzle, and then getting harder and harder, pushing the now confident people to work hard. We want to believe that the quality of ideas matters, but it is the stickiness, or the way you package it, that makes it irresistible. 3. The power of context. Epidemics are sensitive to the conditions and circumstances of the times and places they occur in. In Baltimore, syphilis spreads more in the summer than in the winter. The broken window theory says that if one window in a neighborhood is broken and not fixed, people will think no one cares, and that will spread to other people in the community, leading to more serious crimes in the future. This means that epidemics or crime can be reversed by focusing on small details like fixing windows, You don't have to solve big problems to solve crime. Zimbardo put people in a prison, stripped them of their names, and gave them a uniform with a number for identification. This showed that some situations are so powerful that they overwhelm our inherent predispositions. Character isn't a stable thing. It's a bundle of habits and tendencies that, at certain times, depend on circumstance and context. The reason why most of us have a consistent character is that we are good at controlling our environment. That's why living with someone can expose you to their other side. Because controlling date ideas can be easy, but controlling your whole life is not as easy. Small, close-knit groups have the power to magnify the epidemic. The magical number 7 tells you of a limit past which we become overwhelmed. If I give you 20 glasses of iced tea, each with a different amount of sugar in them, you will be able to divide them into 7 categories. Humans socialize in the largest groups because we are the only animals with brains large enough to understand the complexities of larger social arrangements. Dunbar developed an equation that looks at the neocortex ratio, size of neocortex relative to size of the brain, and it gives you the maximum number of people we are capable of being in a group with. For humans, it's 150. It's the number of people you would not feel embarrassed about joining uninvited for a drink if you happen to bump into them at the bar. That number pops up again and again. It's the number of average people in a village, and often the number that military units do not extend past. If the number exceeds that, the group usually split off into separate divisions. We have a transactive memory. We might not memorize all the numbers, but we memorize where to find them. For example, under Dad in your phone, or by asking your aunt. Groups work because you have the advantage of shared memory. Families might have one person, usually the youngest, who memorizes how to make a computer work, while the dad of the family might have the memory of how to fix appliances, and the woman might be an expert in childcare. Groups like this, with each person having specific knowledge, lead to greater efficiency. In order to understand epidemics, we must understand the law of diffusion. Give a new seed to the Iowa farmers, starting with the innovators, who are the adventurous ones. They suggest it to early adopters, then the early majority, then the late majority, and finally the laggards who see no reason to change. If you plot those, it closely follows the epidemic curve. The tipping point isn't easy to get to. Innovators and early adopters like risk and new ideas. The other people don't. They form 2 different social worlds that don't communicate well. Our memory remembers well what we are familiar with. Sometimes stories from one culture don't translate well into another because the people don't identify with them. Just like allowing medical professionals to give clean needles to heroin users Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. might sound like a good idea to the medical profession to slow the progress of diseases, it doesn't work because the professionals don't understand that most people shoot up on the weekend and don't plan ahead. In the 1980s, suicide rates in Micronesia began to climb drastically. As the number of suicides grew, they became more and more common as a form of self-expression. Stories in the newspaper about suicides led to more suicides the next day. Think about something illegal you might have done. If you see someone speeding, you are more likely to speed. It gives us permission. We are vulnerable to suggestions. Seeing suicides gives people living in pain permission to find relief. Consider the belief that we are like our parents because of genes and the guidance of our parents. However, the Colorado Adoption Project showed that adopted kids do not resemble their adoptive parents at all. So does environment not matter? No, because the children were affected by their peers. This explains why children of immigrants almost never retain the accent of their parents. Children of deaf parents can learn to talk just as quickly as children of parents who speak. As emotional problems rise, so does smoking. Smokers who are depressed use tobacco as a cheap way of treating their own depression and boosting their level of positive brain chemicals. If you treat smokers for depression, it will be easier for them to break the habit. Just like you can give people breast exams during their hair appointments to make it easier for them, that's the impact the environment plays in spreading the epidemic. What helped you the most to get to the tipping point and escape the average life? Comment on which book you would like me to review next.